Hello, hello, witchlings. As promised, I'm not really sure where to look on the screen, and I'm looking at you. So a lot of times I'll look down. I don't know. Anyway, that's why I keep looking up and down and everywhere. I'm trying to figure out how to look you in the eye. But anyway, okay. So now we're going to show you a few tools. Of course, everybody's heard about the wand. In all honesty, this is pretty much symbolic nowadays. And I don't know a lot of witches that actually use the wands per se, like you see in movies and twist out and da 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 da. Some people don't use tools at all, but to me it's fun. And it also, to me, adds power to my spell. It's like anything else. That's why we call them tools. We use them to help us accomplish our task. Ooh, that was a good definition, wasn't it? Okay. There's many, many different ones. Some people make theirs. They'll go out to a tree and get a branch and while I'm on that subject, if you do something like that, which is awesome, it makes it more personal, it makes it more yours, then make sure you ask that tree. Don't just go taking stuff. That's not polite and it's disrespectful and you shouldn't do it. You ask when whatever you're taking from says okay, leave something for them. If you go to that tree, take a branch, give it a drink of water, plant a little flower down beside it or put a little flower, anything, just kind of use what's in your head or what you think might the tree might like. I don't know, they like water. Whatever you feel, but put something back. That's what I was talking about earlier. You always give back. You don't just take. Okay. So here's one of my wands. It has a clear quartz on the end of it because, like I said, this will be a universal wand. I could use it for anything, any sort of magic. If I was to want to do a health spell or something, then I would need rose quartz or, whatever. But having a clear quartz crystal on the end of it, and of course it's wrapped with copper, because copper is an excellent energizer. There's reasons for all the elements, and you'll figure this out. This is what's so fun. On this path and in witchery, you are going to study and dabble in almost everything this earth can provide. By knowing your crystals, you're going to learn about geology. With the elements, the minerals and stuff, the copper, the silver, tin, gold. You're gonna understand what all those do. Herbs. When you go to study your herbs, you're what is that? A horticulturist or whatever. There's a little bit of everything incorporated into magic, and that's what makes it so awesome and so unique. And that's when I said we use all the elements. We bring all this together to create that perfect energy to mold. And once you know what all these are for, their properties, that's easier for you to manipulate them. It's easier for you to know what to use, how to use it, and when to use it. It's really interesting. So just that little piece of copper on there means a whole lot to this entire wand. Okay. Another thing, the wood. Most witches, their wands are made of oak, because oak is a very sturdy wood. It lives a long time. That's another thing you can study, and you'll learn this as you go along. Every single thing has its reason for being, and we know that, and we use that. So, and I have several wands. I buy them just because I like them. They're pretty. Now, when I'm casting a circle, because sometimes I still do, depending on what I'm going to do, I'll use my wand. And I'm going to do a video on that, and I'll explain more of that. I'll either use my wand or my next tool that I'm going to show you, the Athame, or a thing. Once again, however you want to pronounce it. Now, these come in many, many forms, shapes, sizes, sheathed, unsheathed, which I guess you know is this right here. This is your sheath. It's what your knife goes in. Mine, I like the wiggly look on my stuff. I don't know. I just do. And of course, this one has a scarab on it, which brings a little bit of, sometimes I incorporate a little bit of the Egyptian magic into my stuff. Not very often. Usually it's just your basic things. But if I don't use my wand when casting a circle, I will use the thing, or Athame. Now in Wicca, I believe, you can look this up too. The Athame stands for the male energy. It's pointy, the shaft. I guess you're all grown women, I hope. The penis of the male. And then the cup, which I didn't bring mine in here, sitting there on my altar, but the chalice is the female counterpart. And a lot of times in their rituals, the cup will be filled with wine or water or whatever they're incorporating. And as part of the ceremony, they will put the Athame in the cup, in a symbolism of joining the male and female energies. I could be wrong about that. It's been a very long time since I actually studied or did anything towards Wicca. Now, a lot of I know witches have been around for thousands of years, thousands, and Wicca hasn't really been around that long. So, some things they have brought to the craft on their own, and however, like I said, you can study on that and figure out and make your own opinion of that. But witches have used these tools forever. Maybe some of the ways that they are used now have changed in neo-paganism, but the basis of them are all the same still to this day, and always will be, especially to us older witches, because that's just how we are. Okay, moving on. A lot of people will have an altar bell. Now, this is just an example. I have several bells, but I use this owl a lot because most things that I use are by now pertain to my goddess. She likes owls. So, and then there's a little ruby dinger in there. A lot of times they'll ring this, and like I said, I'll show you how I use it in another video when I'm gonna show you how to do the circle, or how I do my circle. Okay, now it doesn't have to be inexpensive stuff. You can go make your own one. You can enchant a piece of wood. You can just go out in the backyard if the branch is already fallen, you know, just pick it up and bring it in, or I would turn around and say thank you to whatever it came off of, you know, but because I didn't go up there and I didn't take it off of the tree or whatever. It's basically been given back to the earth, which makes it okay, I guess. Um, you can use a spoon in a bowl to in place of a bell. You know, um, when I don't have something um, or think I should have something for a certain spell or whatever I'm doing, I always think of how the old ones would have done it, how the elder witches would have done it. Because, back in them days, they didn't have all this stuff at their fingertips. They improvised, they said, well, they probably never even heard of some of this or what we call it nowadays. I'm sure they had something in the same form that they just did, like for the pestle and mortar. And these, of course, also come in shapes, sizes, wood, marble. Um, there are really so many. I have a wooden one here because I like oak. It's made out of oak. But I would recommend first off getting a heavier one, like um, a marble one or a glass one, something that's a little bit more sturdy. Because even though I love this, whenever I go to mashing stuff up in it, it kind of sticks in my wood, and you can't get it out. So, but I guess that's like a cast iron skillet. It's seasoned. You just keep seasoning. We usually have sage, bundled sage. This is for your cleansing. An abalone shell to put it in, to dab it out. You put salt in there, and you can dab it out, which will make the fire go out better and safer. You don't have to put a lot. Don't fill the whole thing full of salt. Most abalone shells have the holes in the side of the shell, so you don't want that falling all over your house. It wouldn't bother me, but it might some. Although I am kind of a neat freak, so I wouldn't want all the ashes and stuff coming out of my shell. But you pretty much, and you can buy these. They're pretty cheap online, or you can. There's sage growing out. Well, depending on where you're from, most places will have sage. It grows wild. So you can go pick it, dry it, bundle it up yourself, or just, I'd be careful when you're burning it though, because sometimes, especially in these bundles, it's tied with string. Those strings will catch on fire. Sometimes you'll have a big stick in here, a stalk of it, and it'll catch on fire. And before you know it, you've got stuff popping off of it and on your carpet. That's why you always need to have, if you don't have a shell, use a glass ashtray, something that's fireproof and that's light enough you can carry it around with you, medium blow, and just sage. Make sure you're getting all the corners of your house, drawers, closets. I'll go into more of that later, but I have mine, and it sits out. Everybody sees it, and then I have my little stand that it sets on. I made a little bones. That's what I'm saying. You can get all this cute stuff, but you don't have to have it, especially starting out. Don't want you thinking, oh no, I got to go out and buy a stand like that and an abalone shell. The abalone shell also has its own little magical properties in it. It's another reason I use it. You can study up on that. Everything in my eyes, on this earth has a reason, and has a property to it, has an energy to it, and you can use that energy. You can figure out how to use it, and that's what witchcraft is about. That's what makes it so fun, is learning and figuring out all these new things. And even as old as I am, and as long as I've been in it, I never stop learning. There's always something new every day. That's why I was talking about the newer witches coming up, and they put a fresh face and all that to it. But and I love it. There's so many different things you can get into and study, and you shouldn't ever get bored, but some people do. Now, as far as your altar goes, that's the only thing I'm going to say about the altar right now, because, well, depending on if I have time in this video, I may do a quick run over on the altar. You need some sort of pentagram. A lot of us buy these. They're little tapestries. This one, let me turn it the right way here. In case you don't know what these symbols stand for, well, you've just got the full moon, and I would say the new moon and the last quarter. That's how I've always interpreted it. It's pretty much the first, middle, and last stages of the moon. And then, of course, you've got your pentagram in the middle. Now, you'll hear some people say that the pentagram and the pentacle is different. Not really. The pentagram is just your star, okay? That's your 5-point star, which the top part, this is how I do it. Once again, anything you hear me say or do on this video is what I do, and I don't know any other way. So this is how I will teach, and I was taught by some very old and wise witches. So I don't think I can get it all wrong. May have people with different opinions, and that's fine. We all do. But anyway, I look at it up here as spirit. And some people may say a specific side of this is, whatever. I don't, to me, it's not important when just looking at the pentagram. It's your elements. You have your earth, air, fire, and water. Those, you do need to know those always. That is a yes, definite yes. You have to know those. And you need to know what direction, which I will probably explain that here in a minute if I have time. Because I have a feeling that when I show y'all how to do the circle, it's going to take a whole video by itself. So, then you have your candles. Wow, I'm a candle freak too. I think most of us are. So I a lot of times I just buy these little chime candles, depending on what I'm doing. The bigger candles, depending on if you're using a goddess or not, and her color or his color, I usually get the bigger candles. You don't have to have a million candles on there. Now, most of us do our work in the dark. Well, not necessarily in the dark, but we have candlelight. So in order to see what you're doing, you're going to have sufficient light. Sorry, my cat here is on top of my book of shadows. She's about to get in trouble. Look at her. She's a brat. Her is a brat. Look, Lexi. Look. Look, you're on TV. Say hi. Hi. My beautiful Lexi. She's a mess, though. So, anyway. So, where was I? Your candles. Okay. You can do it with the lights on. Once again, I'm more into setting the mood, because once you set the atmosphere, you get your atmosphere moving, it's a lot easier in the thought process, because that, my lovelies, is the most important part of anything you do. Your intent. You have to work on that intent. You have to believe. You have to uh, make it happen. You have to have absolute faith. Um, just so I don't get it while I'm on that subject. Um, and I printed some of this stuff off, so I don't, and I didn't want to get them out of order if they're supposed to be in any order, but it's the 4 axioms of witchcraft. And that's to know what to think, to dare to think it, will to do it, and then keep silent about it. In other words, you're borrowing a wonderful, beautiful power. You don't want to go off bragging to everybody about it. First of all, if you cast a spell, you want to be quiet about it, simply because it can mess with the energies that you've already created for that. If you've already set one thing and then you go around spouting off about it, and somebody else goes, oh, well, she's crazy, that ain't going to happen, she really thinks that can happen. Okay, so if you tell people these things, just their thought reaction can put negative energy into your spell work, which you do not want. Okay, so if you do a spell, don't say anything else about it. Especially, I don't even tell my husband. Most of the time, if I do work, he's not even at home. He works nights, so he's not even here. Um, if I do need to do something and he's home, I tell him, I'm going to be working, and he won't come out of the bedroom until I go in there and say I'm done, because that's my private thing. He knows that. He respects it, and that's the way it should be. I know a lot of women don't have that kind of man, and I'm so sorry, but mine is completely supportive of my craft. And in fact, he's a lot like me. No, he's not a witch, but he incorporates a lot of the stuff that I do into his own daily stuff. So anyway, we'll get back to what we were talking about, because as usual, I'm going to get off on a whole different subject because I'm old and I'm crazy. Anyway, starting off, you don't have to have a whole bunch of candles, but you do want one that's big enough that you can see what you're doing. Okay. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a big enough one or a broad enough one. You can, because you'll have to have one for your element of fire on your altar, on your working altar. I don't guess you have to, but I don't know what else you would use. You need fire, and candles provide fire. And you could also use it as your light. So there's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Because a lot of witches, now I don't do this. I don't have my Book of Shadows on my altar. Here's my pretty girl, one of them, the one I'm in now. I don't usually, now if I have a spell in here that I've written that I want to use, I'll bring it out. But I usually have a chair of my dining room table sitting beside me, and when I'm done with it, I'll just lay it back over in my chair, because I want elbow room on my altar. And I know people work with these little bitty altars, and that's fine. But I am just so, I have a lot of stuff on my altars. I usually, when I'm working, I usually have too much stuff. But anyway, we have our little bowls, finger bowls. You can get any kind you want. You can order them online. Of course, everything I own just about has a pinnacle or something. These are little, once again, made of copper. Right now, they have roses and hibiscus flowers in them, because they sit on my deity's altar. most all the time unless I need to borrow them. But when I bring these in here, I also bring her. So they're together all the time. But something, and you don't have to have anything like this, regular bowls, from your kitchen will work. You don't have to have anything great. Incense, we usually always burn incense. Some of us have these little cauldrons we burn stuff in, or just the stick incense, that you can hold, that you have like these. I have one of these going all the time. In fact, one just went out. But I have this. You can set that on your altar. Usually, I'll say that's my element of air. But the little containers I'm talking about, you need something that you can put water in. Your representation for your earth element. And I'll get on into all that later. I'm going to get ahead of myself here. But these are just a few of the tools. There are so many. These are just your basic ones. Of course, your little candle holders I use for my chimes. It's got the zodiac signs around them and stuff like that. You can buy whatever you want, but you need to know your 4 elements for sure. Your earth, air, water, fire is air, south is fire, west is water, and north is earth. They have their own little symbols. You can study those. Some are, just a triangle, plain triangle. Some are a triangle turned upside down. 2 of them have lines and 2 of them don't. So I'm not going to get into all that because I'm going to run out of time. But anyway, those are just a few of the of your tools. Trying to think of anything I didn't say in the last video that I should have. We'll get into how to dispose of spell remains. That I think that's very important because, as I said, we try to take care of the earth, and sometimes we use poisonous herbs, as I've said before. So we don't want them, any poor animal digging them up that's hungry and eating them or whatever. But there's ways to get rid of that. I also printed off a sheet here, just a cute little sheet. You can what the candles stand for. And like I said, that's why I use the chime candles. You can buy a little box like this. They're not expensive. They don't burn very long, but if you're just doing a quick spell or a quick rite or a ritual, then you don't want something that, because I believe when you use the candle, you should burn it all the way down. Not always, but most of the time that's what I do. But then that's my belief. You can save them. Some people save them and use them to seal up other things, the very ends of them. I wouldn't throw them away. You could probably always find a use for them. Be surprised what you can find a use for in witchcraft. But like the black candle that banishes negativity. That's why another reason black. I use black so much because it just has so many. There's so many reasons. It's one of the colors my goddess loves. I like black. It's grounding. It keeps everything intact the way it should be. It absorbs negativity, keeps any bad juju away from the spell you're doing. That's my opinion. That's why I use a lot of black, especially for light. If I've just got them sitting around, they're serving more than one purpose. Anyway, that's just a few of the tools. Now that isn't by far all of them. That will be your basic ones that you would know about. If I forgot one, I'll try to remember it whenever I show y'all how to do a circle. I don't know that I will show y'all how to do the circle, like stand up and do it, because I don't know how I'd have to use my phone, and I'm new at this, so I don't know how to tape it on my phone and then, or video it on my phone and then put it on my YouTube. So my husband's the whiz at the electronics, so I'll have to find out a way I can do that. But anyway, study your paganism. Watch some movies, even, they're fiction. In some ways, they're not. They have the exact names. They have what the gods were for, like Zeus, and, your basic gods and goddesses that you hear about all the time. And then you can just kind of get your feel for mythology, because that's where a lot of what we do comes from. My goddess Hecate, she is the one that when Persephone was kidnapped by Hades, she's the one that heard her cry, heard her scream, and followed her down there. And when she was down there, she befriended her. And because she is also the goddess of hell, I guess you could say. She has the keys. She can go anywhere down there. She leads the dead. Anyway, she aided Persephone, befriended her when she was down there. So Hades gave her keys to all the realms of the underworld. She can go anywhere she wants, pretty much, from the heavens and plumb down below. So it's little things like that, in the mythology that you need to understand. And it's fun learning. I love mythology. It's always been so intriguing to me. But you'll find that the reasons for a lot of these gods and goddesses that we incorporate in our magics, or that we pick as a deity, that may help you pick a deity. And there's only Greek, there's Egyptian, there's Norse, there's Celtic. There's several different kinds. The Roman. So that will probably be the most fun of your journey. I think it was for me. I've been into mythology since I was little. It always intrigued me. So it was easy for me to learn it, and the stories are amazing. It basically just shows you how all of this makes sense once you learn the basics, and how everything just kind of started from here and went up here. It all belongs together. It mingles together. So do that for me, and I probably won't put that one up tonight, but I will show you the basics of how to set up your altar, just the basics. And I may not show you, but I'll tell you. I may do it right quick. I don't know. But and then after I show you the basic altar setup, then I'll see if I can actually show you how to do the circle, or if I'm just gonna have to tell you. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you very much. And as usual, if any questions, if you like my channel, like and subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.